So can I record it? So if I want to put it on YouTube.
Uh, I'll give you the record.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So we were discussing something in the background about what exactly we were doing in terms of cat analysis and all those things. So we have Patrick with us, fresh out of the paper. Does not look that fresh.
What do you expect?
So I mean, I can understand the pain that he would be going through, because in the morning, I've been here from the morning, the same place. I mean, like I went out just for lunch, etc. But it is pretty tiring just to even listen. And he has actually attempted the paper 3 hours in the examination hall, half an hour before that, probably half an hour, 45 minutes after that, okay, to figure out what is going on, what people's etc. So let's ask the breaking question first, and I asked this to Rajesh also. 100 percentile aayega?
So I never give a paper on the basis of 100 percentile. It
I know
doesn't
that,
matter.
but you will have some sort of gut feeling, right, at the end of it, like.
No, I don't know. I always feel I don't, but I don't think this time also. My verbal put me down.
Okay.
Verbal has been a bad
Okay.
thing. And there were quite a
Uh,
few questions which you were not sure about it. So I don't know. Let me just put this as that
Okay,
way.
so let us, before I start this off, please do subscribe to this channel. Please do subscribe to Patrick's channel. This part of this is also getting recorded, not recorded. It is actually being transcribed and put up on shiksha.com. So please look at that also. Patrick's name will also be there. My name will also be there. We have done quite a few analysis, student reactions, etc. The entire day. We did 2 reactions with students in the morning, 2 reactions in the evening. We had Rajesh, and now we have Patrick. So, uh, you told me that you actually looked at the first slot. What were your expectations when you went and saw the first slot?
In a sense, like
I mean,
I talked to people.
you knew that this is how the first slot is.
Yeah. I talked to students in the first slot. I created a small video and
Yes,
put it up. So the
yes,
idea
yes,
was to,
yes.
to understand and put a video so that my students are aware about it. So what I got from people was very clear that verbal was a little tricky. They very clearly said the quant was easy, and DLR also they said was doable. I mean, what they meant by doable, I believe, was if you look at the mocks of a lot of classes, the mocks were very tough this year of a lot of classes. So in that case, I think they compared with that and said that DLR was doable. So that's how it is turned out. So overall, that's how the sequence of questions.
Okay, so this is my personal opinion, and I spoke to the students who gave in the first slot as well as the second slot, is that everyone seems to have attempted a reasonable number of questions in VARC. And we spoke to Rajesh also in the first half, is that you don't know what you're answering. I mean, I eliminated 2 options, A and C. I marked C, but I still don't know what the answer is going to be. Was that how you felt as well?
But very frankly, Vivek, I always feel it the same way. Whatever cat I give.
No,
So it
no, no, no,
doesn't
no, 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 no,
matter.
no, no. This is
But
something
yeah,
which
you're
we cannot.
comparing with the first before exam. Look, very frankly, I didn't find a difference in the questions at least. I mean,
Okay.
last year and this year, I didn't find the questions more trickier this year. I thought the questions were trickier last year also. What I found this year was the passages were tougher. In a sense, like to understand and the grasp, the language is a little more tougher. Last year, you could easily understand the passage. So grasping the passage was not difficult last year at all. You could easily read, understand the passage, and while solving the question, that was tricky. You need to work on the options and all stuff. This year, the passages were tougher, and the question was similar to last year. But because the passages were tougher, people didn't understand the passage, and therefore the questions become trickier. I mean, because you didn't understand it, the question became more trickier as compared to last year. But otherwise, I felt the quality of question wise, last year, this year was similar. As a matter of fact, last year had more twist in terms of questions as compared to this year.
Okay.
But yes, the passages really made it tough. I think one of passage was easy and understandable, but most of the passages were like, you don't know what you're reading. You read half and you realize that what am I doing? I don't know what's happening around. And then you have to decide whether you have to continue or not. But then you don't continue or you realize all the other passages are the same.
Okay.
So that's how it is. But
So there is no change in pattern per se. I mean, like the
hmm,
number of questions and the type of questions,
so it's the
para jumbles,
same.
etc. How are the
Plenty.
para jumbles like?
Para jumbles I thought was fine. The odd man out were tricky, is what I thought.
And they are all theta, right? I mean,
Odd man out was theta. Para jumbles were theta, yeah. So odd man out was tricky. I mean, I found it a little difficult to eliminate your numbers. Parajumbles was okay, but parajumbles is something like you go one wrong and you go it wrong. So anyway, the accuracy is low, so you can't rely on that. Summaries also was little on the trickier side. Fine. So yeah, so overall verbal itself was a little trickier as
So
such.
last 2 years, roughly you need about 67 to 70 odd to reach a 99 percentile in the verbal section. How much do you think roughly this year it will
I have
translate?
to still work on it, but yeah, the number scores will come down definitely.
So
So if you're looking at 99 percentile, there will be a few outliers who will do really well. But when you talk about 99 percentile, you're talking a lot of people. So automatically the scores should come down to 60 or maybe even below 60.
okay, 60. That's exactly what Rajesh also said. Like it'll come down by about 10 to 12 marks, maybe even more, especially because, and this is my firm belief, is that you don't know when you are having a bad day in verbal. In maths, you know it's tricky. In LRDI, you're tricky. You don't know actually.
Yeah, and verbal, you don't know when it's bad day. You only come to know when the results are out.
Then the results come out, and yeah, that is the case. So let's assume that that is something which we are going to work with. My other theory is, and I'm planning to ask you is, usually when the marks that you score in verbal are a little more difficult to make up in the other two sections. I mean,
So
like
in
if
this
you
today, in this case, what happens is, if you look at the previous years, the variance in scores between the high scorers and the medium scorers will be very high in verbal. But because the paper becomes tougher, then the difference in scores of the high scorers and the medium scorers will not be so much.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if the
It,
person is losing marks in verbal, he
it
may
can
not
cover
be
up.
able to make up that much in quant and LRDI because the scores are usually compressed
But
over there.
maybe in this year he can, because this year even the
Okay.
verbal scores will be compressed. So
Okay.
last year the verbal scores were very, good scorers would score very high. The medium scorers would score like 60, 70, 99 percentile, and then automatically scores drops
Mm-hmm.
drastically. This year already the 66, 99 percentile is already at 60 or below that. So the
Okay.
gap between a 98 percentile and maybe a 95 percentile may not be so much as compared to last year.
Mm-hmm.
So to making up, I think it becomes easier this year as compared to last year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
previously verbal would have been a good deciding factor to get an overall good percentage.
Yeah, that is my main theory in the sense like
This year it may not be so.
if you extend the lead in verbal, you will. I mean, people may not be able to catch up with you that quickly.
Normally, yeah. This year
Yeah,
maybe they will be.
this year they will be able to catch up. That was my main point. That is the case. Okay. Uh, Verbal. So roughly we are saying roughly 10 marks is what we are going to lose in verbal.
Yeah,
Let's look at
what in verbal is, people are normally well read and who read a lot of it. They would find a verbal very easy. So I had a student who was from arts background who said, "Oh, wonderful paper, wonderful passages," and I was what?
okay,
But
okay,
anyway,
okay, okay,
so
okay. Now that we are, I was planning to have this discussion at the very end, but still, let you brought that up, so let's complete that discussion. So the first lot, and uh, Rajesh kept on saying this, is that there was some amount of indoctrination in the sense like you would probably see a left guy or a right guy writing a paper, and he has put in his ideas like he's a capitalist or a socialist. You don't know it, but it's only in the very end with one or two lines that you actually figure out, okay, this guy is like a pro capitalist or a pro socialist. Did you find that here also? It was a very subtle sort of a indoctrination. That's what he said.
that subtleness was there, yes.
Okay.
But the first thing to understand the subtleness is to understand the passage. So
Yes, that is the thing.
first step doesn't get, then you can't go to the second step.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was a lot of subtleness. I mean, you understand the passage and then oh, there's some little twist out here. So yes, that was always there in the. But yeah, people who are normally well read, people who can create opinions easily in terms of what is for, what is against, and understand the passage would have been much better, able to comprehend the passage than people who are not well read. So this was a little different type of thing.
Okay. Let's go to the next section, which is LRDI. Now, reaction was when I looked at the first slot, people said that LRDI is moderate. Some of them said easy also. That was the first reaction. Then I had another set of reactions. Two of them were repeated. They came back, they looked at, they relaxed, and then they said, like, it may not be as easy as it seems it is supposed to be. Slot 2, on the other hand, everyone is saying LRDI is difficult. What is your?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it will be same first slot and second slot. I don't think it is a slot 2 was more difficult. There was one set was not doable at all. That was sure. I mean, it was like nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
If you had left that set easily, then okay, there were one or two sets which was easily doable. So anyone who's solving the paper should have been easily able to solve
Do
two
the-
sets at least.
Yes.
What I've also noticed that people who have not solved too many sets. So the high scorers must have solved around 20 questions or 16, like 5 sets maximum. So that means the range will be from 2 to 5 sets.
Okay.
But there were 2 easy sets for definite. So people,
And there was one Venn diagram. Was it a 4-variable Venn diagram or a 3-variable Venn diagram?
I don't know. I have not used Venn diagram to solve any questions. So I don't know who said Venn diagram because I heard it on the way, someone saying Venn diagram, but I don't remember solving using a Venn diagram.
So basically, it might have been a table. You might have solved it using a table. Is that what you're saying?
Acha, right. I think I know which question they're talking about. I don't think it should have been used Venn diagram. I think they've done a wrong way of solving it. If you use a Venn diagram and you go B, it becomes very tricky.
Okay.
I understood what question, but I'm definitely sure there is not a Venn diagram question.
It's a table question. It's
like a modified tabular format. If you could solve it, it could be easier. There's no Venn diagram question in paper.
Okay.
But I heard this. I was coming on the way.
There were like quite a few people who said it's a Venn diagram question.
Yeah, Venn diagram, 4 variables. I didn't see Venn diagram, and I didn't. And 4 variable to forget it.
A couple of comments are on YouTube are also saying it's a Venn diagram question.
Okay, I solved it without a Venn diagram. Well, can you tell me which set of questions that
are? It says the very last set, it seems. Okay, let's.
Last set will vary from person to person.
Aditya Konde, if you are listening to this.
What type of question?
What was the? Can you tell us what type of question was it? Okay, last set was a 3x3 grid. Somebody saying that it was a Venn diagram. Okay, it was a table. Okay.
So what? Which question? Name of anything?
We'll figure out. Aditya, if you are hearing it, let us know what was the basic idea of the question, or anyone else. Content of the question broadly, like what was it about? Okay. Okay, we'll figure out whatever it was. Okay, there was a games and tournament question.
Oh, that was horrible. That was the one which was like not solvable. I don't know. Anyone who attempted it would have gone crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, that was bad.
Okay. What was the games and tournament about? It was like a knockout round robin, or it was like a game?
No, it was a particular. Like 6th round, they're given some points. 10th round, they're given some points. And they're given some data in bottom. They're not given hardly any data. So you actually have to figure out what. I mean, to solve the whole thing would have taken longer time. I tried using options, but the option did not give you any clue because all the options were possible. So it became a little tricky to solve. So no, I thought it was lengthy and not solvable.
Okay, the Venn diagram question was plan A, plan B, 2 girls.
Yeah. No, it is not a Venn diagram question.
It's not a Venn diagram question. Okay.
I know. I realized it was that plan A, plan B. At least I did it without a Venn diagram. If people have done with a Venn diagram, I don't know. So let me not get into it. Possible to maybe do in Venn diagram. But I thought it was easier to solve it without a Venn diagram.
Yeah. Okay. What about the other type of questions? Data? Was there too much data?
Yeah. This time what I found different was that there were normally what happened is CAT has moved slowly towards more logical based questions. This time they were data based questions. So you had pure data. You had to interpret data. That's all. There's no logic involved in it. So which is what I found it like. There was a revenue cost question, which was a data question, which you could easily put and solve it. The easiest question was something to do with, discrepancy on something. They're given average some rainfall or whatever it is, and discrepancy in the rainfall. It was a very simple question, nothing to do with it. So, I mean, that was the easiest question. And because of that, the overall passage became easier. Overall pattern became easier. So there were 2 sets which were very easy. One was at rainfall. I don't remember the second one. But yes, there was more data-based question than pure logic questions. So that was what the change.
Yeah, even Rajesh said that in the first slot, there were you had to scroll horizontally as well as vertically.
No, you didn't have to scroll much. No, we didn't have too much of data, but the questions were based on data.
Okay.
So you don't have to, put logic in the place.
So none of those optimization, like which of this could be possible or which of this could be possible, that sort of questions. Was there questions where only partial information is given besides the one which you mentioned already?
No, I think almost all the questions were fine. I mean, it was doable as such. As I said, there were 2-3 database questions which are very simple, should have been done that. There were logic-based questions which you could have left it and moved ahead. And its key was to identify which sets were difficult, which sets were easy. If you could identify difficult sets, you should have moved ahead fast. If you could do that, I think the paper could have been done decently well.
So you're saying 2 to 5 is the range, which means 2 sets will be again 80 percentile, and this time 5 sets will be 99 percentile.
Yeah, 5.
So again, just like Rajesh said, in the first slot, I think, no, you are saying about 10 marks extra, 10 to 12 marks
No,
extra.
I'm not saying 10 to 12 marks extra. I'm saying that, okay, if you say verbal goes down by 8 to 10 marks, DLR will go up by maybe 5, 6 marks at least.
This is exactly like slot 1. That's what even Rajesh said.
Hmm.
Okay, so last year it was about 47, 45 to 47 was 99 percentile. So you're saying around 50. This time it might cross 50.
It might cross 50, yes.
Nice. Okay. Now, this happens with a lot of people. When you start with a difficult and more fatiguing or tiring sort of a VARC, your performance keeps on going low because you have to read so much. Now, maths supposedly was easy this time around. How did you feel maths was?
I thought maths was lengthy.
Lengthy, again.
You have to use a lot of calci. I remember last few years I have hardly used ever calci in a max section. Once off maybe. But this year I have used calci so many times in a max section. And I was getting frustrated. Why am I using calci? But the numbers were such that I had to use. I mean, I could have done without calci, but my mind was not working. So I tried to use calci and got a mat. But yes, it was lengthy. In terms of the numbers were not very easy to solve. You have to solve and try to get the answer to it and then work on that. And the calculation also was trickier, which ideally I thought calci using a calci was much optimal than maybe calculating it. And I think that was what made it different. Maybe the questions could have been solved, depends on how many you're looking at. There were quite a few which looked very tricky and looked a little difficult to solve. But there were also quite a few which are very simple and get easily. I mean, you can just see and make out, this has to be the answer that way. But yes, because of all that, there's a high chance that you could do silly mistakes. I mean, I remember that when you tend to go very fast, yeah, silly mistakes become very common. You miss out at small data and then you go wrong. So I realized that during the test, this CAT itself, 1 or 2 questions I just solved fast and I realized, oh no, that is not the answer. I had to go back and then think about it back and then completely change it and get a different answer.
Why did you have to go back? Because
go back and I solved it. And move to next and I realized, oh no, that variable didn't go. And I had to go back and check out, oh yes, that was where the problem was. So yes, a little tricky. So I'm not really sure of my section, but lengthy. But what I also realized that if a person can use options and solve, if you go for traditional methods, then you would not be able to solve this paper. But if you can use options, substitute options and eliminate options and get the answer, it became much easier to solve.
Okay. As one of the students said, like using options actually got him into trouble.
Possible, but a lot of my students come back and said that it helped them a lot in terms of the way they solve. So it depends on how.
No, they said maths was easier compared to last year. I mean, it was between 2017 and 2018, somewhere in between.
Can say that.
So last year, the cutoff for about 99%, 98.5, 99 percentile was about 50-ish. What do you think this year? 5 marks?
You can say that.
So we are back to where we discussed just 2 days ago on the predictions. We are roughly 50% is going to get you a 99 percentile overall. Is that what you're saying? So out of 300, around 150 is going to
last
get you.
Year also was 150 was 19%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We are back to last year. Only thing is the different distribution is this. Yeah, VA will grow down. LRDI might go up a little bit. QA will also go up a little bit.
Yeah, so overall the cutoff should remain the same, similar to last year. Yes, what is
and right. Even the other significant ones, like say 95, a 99, an 80.
Yeah, would go same proportion.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Overall, they will be roughly the same. There will be obviously variations over there.
Yes. That's how it will go.
Okay, so now that we have done this, let's see what happens if you have somebody who's watching, who's doing it for CAT 2020. What is the key takeaway that you would like to give him when he's watching for CAT 2020? Or like, what should he be worried about when you're looking at CAT 2020? Or what
okay, let me take each part. Verbal, I thought reading was the key. People who are well-read would do well. People who purely relied on solving too many RCs would have not done well. I always propagate reading is more important than solving RCs. And I stick to it after looking at this RC. So if you're a person who's well-read, you would be able to understand the passage better and therefore solve questions. Solving question becomes secondary because if you don't understand a passage, where will you solve the questions from? Right? So my focus in terms of verbal is read. Don't focus on RCs too much, but focus on reading a lot. Coming to DILR, okay, again, there is a variance in questions. The key was to, again, selection and identification of question.
So
If you were
basically, you will need to do a lot of practice and know your areas.
with the focus of identifying easy and
I,
tough sets, and you should know
yes.
that tough है नहीं आता है, छोड़ो. Don't try to break, मतलब you practice while you break it out, you break your head, but when it's all in the marks, you should be learn to leave tough questions. Uh, Can't can't. My personal thing is I think using options and substituting values were what was much easier and calculating and as such. So that's what my take is. So I think that would
And
definitely help.
again, we can probably live without going through a lot of modern maths, is it? I mean, like I heard there was no probability question this time, and there was a PNC question.
Don't remember.
Okay. What about geometry? Too much geometry?
There were geometry questions. As a matter of fact, there was exactly one geometry question which I had solved in the class exactly with the same number. I didn't know how to solve it.
Okay.
And I forgot about it. I remember very clearly someone had given me a better method of solving it, and I skipped that question. I couldn't remember it. I went out, came back, then somehow I got the answer. Okay.
This is in the class, but not in the exam.
No, in the exam I got the answer.
when
Exam
you
I
mean,
came
okay.
back and I
Okay.
somehow got the answer. It was the last question. Matlab, spent my
Last 5
time
minutes.
enough
Okay.
and
Okay.
got that answer. Then after I came out, I realized, oh, that was a method that was taught to me by someone else. As a, this is where
It's possible, yeah.
possible, yeah. But yeah, uh, there were quite a few easy questions. There were a few questions that looked tough but were actually doable. I
For
don't think.
example,
I mean, there were log questions which were put
logs.
in the square root and looked like very, dangerous. But actually, when you substitute the options, it looked very simple as such. Okay, some
So
value like functions.
last 2 years, basically your arithmetic, algebra, progressions, logs, this has constituted close to 27 odd questions and geometry. These have constituted about 27 to 30 questions in maths. Roughly the same this year also.
I didn't look at the breakup. Sorry, Vivek, I
No,
don't
no.
know.
What I'm saying is, were there any numbers question? Were
No,
there
no,
any?
there's not too many number questions. There's no probability, permutation, combination, not many. No, I think it was all based on TSD work and whatever we normally solve.
So a normal cat
APGP,
question, not
not anything. What has been the pattern in the last 2-3 years has been followed this year.
modulus, coordinate geometry. Too much, too little.
Modulus was there. I don't remember.
Hmm.
Coordinate geometry also, no, it was not. Was it there? No. Someone is saying yes.
Medians were giving 90 degrees to each other. I don't know what.
Yeah, yeah.
That
There
question.
was a question on, but yes, that not too many. One-off questions. Geometry was there, but not too many. I
Okay.
think if you just do the basic topics and don't focus too much on the weird what permutation, combination, probability, number system, but just do the other topics properly, I think that should suffice.
So what you're saying is cat is now becoming more and it's not becoming, it has been almost for the last 15 years, a very practical examination rather than, highly skilled. I mean, do you think it's a very good balance between engineers and non-engineers
Look,
today?
very frankly, you ask me personally, I don't think engineers have an advantage on quant.
No. What I'm saying is, according to their
quant has never been an engineer. Cat quant has never been for engineer. If you look at if for any person, and I've seen this for a lot of students, any person, be it engineer or not engineer, if they learn how to solve the questions just by using options and solving substituting values, they'll find it easier. So I don't think engineers have any great advantage to it. It's more of mindset. One is the problem is a lot of people solve it using the traditional methods. Their engineers definitely have advantage, and therefore non-engineers suffer because they also learn the same way, which is unfortunately
so
bad.
engineers have to unlearn that.
Engineers have to unlearn definitely if they want to really score high, and non-engineers have to learn those methods to get it. So if you can do that, I'm sure you'll be able to do well. Be it engineer, non-engineer. There's a very wrong classification of engineering, non-engineering, and I normally feel the engineers normally do purely well is because they're more confident. Nothing else. They don't have any advantage over non-engineers in terms of
Familiarity more than anything else. That's what you're saying.
familiarity will come with practice. So I don't see.
Okay, cool. We will stop this here. It's 7:30 almost. Thank you very much, Patrick. Guys, Patrick, let's hope he's also getting 100 percentile. He's not going to say this year. We'll meet him again very soon. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll end the stream.